Once a quiet but visible presence on the campaign trail, Barron Trump has retreated from public life, fueling rumors of a strained relationship with his father and raising questions about his role in the latest chapter of the Trump presidency. The empty space beside his parents at a recent high-profile event only highlighted how distant Barron has become. Several key figures were in attendance at the Army's 250th anniversary military parade that happened to fall on President Donald Trump's birthday. Even Melania Trump, whose absence from the White House has been glaring, stood side by side with her husband on stage during the festivities. The fact that J.D. Vance's wife and children were seen right alongside him only made Barron's own omission more eyebrow-raising. Barron had attended many events and rallies during Donald's campaign for president back in 2024. But after becoming president, Barron has mostly faded from the spotlight. Sources have asserted that you almost never see Barron in public because of his own desire for privacy and his mother's protectiveness. So far, it doesn't seem that Barron has inherited the president's affinity for showmanship. With that in mind, we can't help but wonder if their seemingly wildly different personalities clashed behind the scenes. Barron's disappearance comes at a time when he and Donald have never been physically further apart. As the president resumes his duties in the White House, Barron has been living in Trump Tower while attending New York University. His no-show at the military parade might be yet another signal that there's some trouble in the Trump family's paradise. Barron Trump has already become the butt of late-night jokes thanks to President Donald Trump's words about his son. Whenever describing Barron, Donald often uses generic phrases, which gives the impression he doesn't know much about Barron at all. When the president was asked to give an update on Barron during his interview with the Pod One podcast, he didn't have much to say. Trump said, "Barron is great. He is very tall and good." He was taken to task for his comments by comedian Seth Meyers, who quipped about the lack of knowledge Donald seemingly had about his son. The Apprentice host has been showing this kind of aloofness towards Barron even in the latter's younger years. Donald once said in a 2015 interview with E! News, "He's a great boy, he's working hard, he's starting the school thing. You know, the beginning of the process, and he's going to be a very good boy." But perhaps the most telling part of the interview was when the real estate mogul was asked if Barron recognized how famous his family was at the time. He said, "I don't know what he's aware of, but he is a fantastic young boy, so I hope he becomes aware fast." Of course, it's possible that Donald doesn't intentionally want to give away too much information about Barron for privacy reasons. However, the way he talks about his son is wildly different from how Melania references him. Melania once showed that she might have known more about Barron than her husband did without giving too many details about her son's personal life in the process. She said in an interview with Fox and Friends, "He's a grown young man. I'm very proud of him, about his knowledge, even about politics, and giving advice to his father. He brought in so many young people. He knows his generation." Donald Trump once shed a bit more light on his relationship with his son, but even then, the president went back to the same script he often used. In an interview with Dr. Phil McGraw, he touched on how Barron was affected by his father's hush money scandal. Apparently, Trump's 34 felony convictions didn't just have unintended consequences for his business. They might have had emotional consequences for Barron as well. Since Barron kept Donald at arm's length, however, the president could only guess that his son was negatively impacted by the controversies. He said, "But he doesn't say it, and I think he doesn't say it because he doesn't want to hurt me, and he thinks it's possibly a hurtful conversation. But it has to affect my family, and I think that's really very unfair, because I have a very good family, I have good kids, I have a wonderful wife." Their non-conversation on the topic seemed to further demonstrate the distance between the two, which might have only gotten wider over the years.